Marketing is a battlefield.
How do you get to still be a creative and ask your customers to take risks? Like, let's do something crazy and wild versus that mentality of show me measurement, show me performance, show me... do people have any balls anymore?
I found it, so it depends on mostly the corporate culture, where they are in their life cycle, a little bit about the economy, and certainly their target audience as to what a level of risk they're willing to take. There are companies with balls, for sure. You have brands early on getting into the Periscope and other platforms that are unstable, clunky, wonky, whatever, just to try it out. That's low risk.
Yeah.
But, the early adopters generally, if they put enough thought to it, but as long as, back to Doc Martens, if they're being their authentic selves versus outsourcing to a PR firm or some interactive agency, I get the technology, but they don't get the brand, there's big danger in that. So I think where it's going is that brands that are willing to create a memorable experience. I have 3 proposals out and 3 client strategic planning sessions right now where it's all about the experience. So we have hospitality clients where that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But we also have manufacturing clients where they're like, experience. What are you talking about, right?
Yeah.
We make widgets. Who cares about the experience? And we have to educate, just because you sell business to business doesn't mean that it's not an emotional decision by a decision maker within a business. Everybody tends to make an emotional based decision when they buy and justify it through their logical, rationalize it through their logical mind. So I think teaching our clients, whether a consumer or business or hybrid of both, that creating a compelling experience that may include Second Life 10 years ago, it may include VR today. I've dabbled in both for clients, but with a huge grain of salt, saying, we worked with a very large computer maker and another agency on building a Second Life world back, I think that was 08, 07.
What was it? Linden dollars or
Linden Labs. Yeah,
Linden.
Back when it was for their 15 minutes of fame,
right.
They spent $50,000 creating a virtual environment that made very little sense. They could have had a world-class animation that would have lacked the interaction, but then had flown their sales guys all over the world and still been ahead, than what the kind of the goofy thing they created, which was still cutting edge and cool. And $50,000 to spend, they spend it on that. They could have chalk it up as a case study, but I think it really was not successful because their target audience was not in Second Life. Or at least they wouldn't admit it because maybe they're furries and into their own little bizarre little habits, but they don't want to tell their boss that.
Yeah.
No, I've never heard of Second Life, And so the other thing that's happening is that marketers used to write the book. Seth Godin wrote the book. And I found with Second Life, instead of writing the book or being ahead of chapter, I was finishing writing sentences as they're reading that sentence. Like, I spent 30 minutes, an hour in Second Life. I was like, I get this enough to help them build a strategy, but I brought in an expert who had built, virtual worlds for Toyota, Scion, and all that to actually build them what they needed. But I gave them a big caveat, like, I'm not sure your customers are here. I'm not sure you'll have to literally give them training just to use this environment. But if you want to give it a try, fine. I'll help you. So that's kind of where we're at with some of these cutting edge technologies. Like Google Cardboard, is you can create something really cool for it, but be prepared, the adoption will be slow. The key is, early adopters going to be the people you're reaching, or is it just a press play, a PR play?
Yeah.
So we try and educate the client.